What's going on, everybody? It's Whitney, your favorite Yammy Noob cameraman, and if you've been watching the channel for the last couple months, you may be wondering, how many motorcycles does Whitney have? Is she some sort of famous YouTube moto vlogger who rides and reviews giveaway bikes? The short answer is no. I just rent them. Alright everybody, back in 2019 of July, I started seeing ads for these motorcycle rental platforms, and I could tell that they were getting heavily criticized by almost everybody. Also, anybody who lives in another part of the world, look at these roundabouts. I found one thing they don't do bigger in Texas, and that is a useless roundabout. It's personal, they're expensive, I get it, I do, but I didn't have that reaction. I was like, oh hell yeah, this is an opportunity to make money. I knew I had cool bikes. My bikes were newer, so they weren't going to be a ton of upkeep in terms of maintenance. And I had niche bikes that were desirable, but not so niche to where no one would want to ride them. Like, I definitely see some of those bikes out there now where you're like, dude, no one's going to rent that. It's 12 years old, and it looks like it's falling apart. Some stats for you guys. I've rented out my motorcycles almost 80 times. I've had 41 rentals with the BMW R9T. I've had about 38 rentals with the XSR 900. So in almost 2 years, that's a lot. In terms of money, you could buy another XSR 900 with that. They do take a percentage. They take about 30% of your daily fee. So my R9T is $100 a day to rent. My XSR 900 is $90 a day to rent. You gotta price them that way. If you're saying, oh, I'm gonna throw my brand new bike on there for $200 a day, that's never gonna happen. I hate to say it, that's never gonna happen. It's just not very reasonable to do that. Also, there's not that many people in that economic bracket who just wanna throw around that kind of money for a rental. Might as well just buy it at that point. Let's say you want to buy a bike to rent, right? You got to think about the brand, the type of rider that attracts. You know, BMWs are attracting older riders. Older riders ostensibly have more money to spend on motorcycle rentals. You know, it is a novelty, 100%. Or do you have just a fleet of Squidmobiles that you're like, I'm ready to rent these out? Don't do that. You should think about having a make and model that attracts a more experienced rider. Saying that you're an experienced rider yourself, but I can't see too many beginner riders just throwing their bike, a rental bike, on a website and dealing with it that way. I do recommend you have at least a few years of riding experience. The number one question I get from my renters is, are you ever worried to rent out your bike? Is there someone that shows up and you're like, this is not happening? What's really cool is that these rental platforms, they say, look, if you have the slightest funny feeling or you are not comfortable renting out your bike to this person, don't rent it out. Just cancel the rental. It's no big deal. It's no sweat off our back, no sweat off your own, and honestly, it's just not worth it. Look at that. Bunch of garbage and horses. It's beautiful. Out of 78 rentals, I've only had to do that once, which is great. Those are great stats. It was with the R9T, which I do vet people a little bit harsher with the R9T because it is a heavier bike. It's got a different center of gravity. I do prefer that you have a little bit more experience when renting that motorcycle. And there were some red flags. He was with his girlfriend, and I could tell he was really nervous. All right, red flag number one. Red flag number two, he had only ever really ridden dirt bikes. So, being the nice person that I am, I was like, dang, should I just cancel it in front of his date and just whatever? I should have, because he almost dropped the bike. He was extremely embarrassed. He canceled it himself. I did feel bad for him, but R9T was fine, he was fine, and that's all that really matters. Out of those 78 rentals, I've only had one female. Come on, ladies. Gotta start renting those motorcycles. She rented the R9T. She had an R9T herself. She had a different model, so that was pretty cool to meet her. Really important factor to renting your bike is how available and flexible you are. I could see it being kind of difficult if you've got a 40-hour a week job where you're not really home a lot. Granted, a lot of these rentals are on the weekends, but with that being said, people are going on group rides. They're trying to facilitate meeting up with other riders. Plans change, and I almost always have rentals change on me. And since I'm a stay-at-home mom, well, despite riding super bikes with the Yami Noob crew, I'm home a lot. How attached are you to your motorcycles? Are you putting some custom build or a bike that you put a lot of mods on, a lot of money dumped into mods? Not really worth it. That's why I've kept my R9T pretty stock, because once I start digging into that, it's a rental bike. It gets rented out more so than I ever thought it would. It's kind of just become my rental mule, to say. I actually do not rent the Husqvarna right now. It is really nice to have my own personal bike. And because of the money I'm making with those rentals, I haven't had a monthly motorcycle payment in almost 2 years. Those bikes are paying for themselves and then some. I have met so many cool people renting out my motorcycles. It has been way more of an enjoyable experience than I thought it was. Sure, you might be worried, but Twisted Roads, you can see people's riding histories and their bios, which is really helpful. You're really communicating with these people. They're not just stranger squids, like scary, creepy stranger squids coming to molest your bike. I wouldn't worry about that. All right, the next thing we do gotta talk about is maintenance, motorcycle maintenance. When you're renting out your motorcycles, you are changing your oil a lot. You're buying new tires a lot. You're checking air, oil. You're filling up your gas tank often. I live right by a gas station, so that's easy. Also, don't think that you can just get a bike and then, oh, this is a safe place to stop. Whitney's first motorcycle vlog ends in tragedy. This is very dangerous. Don't do that. So you can't be taking your bikes to the shop and then they're sitting in the shop just getting their oil changed. Don't burden your mechanic with oil changes. I'm not a mechanic, but I can just sense that that's probably not what they want to do, especially in the spring and summer. Look, we got a little cruiser guy. Cute little cruiser man. So you do need to have those things. It would be ideal if you have a garage. It's going to be hard if you don't have a garage. I have so much BMW oil on hand all the time because that engine burns oil like a mother. Just know that. Another thing too is I've got tons of gear. I don't charge extra for my gear because I just want you to wear it. I think about if I was going to another state and renting someone's motorcycle, if they offered clean, awesome gear, I'm not, doling out ratty stuff. I would love that. I think that it's a nice complimentary aspect. I feel like if you charge money for it, people are more likely to just skip it. Please wear all your gear. I just have mine just from, a new helmet comes out that looks super sick and I'm like, oh, that's tight. If it looks sick, I'm buying it. I'm not a tech spec warrior. I'm the total antithesis of that. All right, guys. Just to wrap it up and to reiterate, you gotta rent out your motorcycle. If you've got a cool bike, it's worth sharing. It's worth meeting other experienced riders. It's worth establishing that connection. It's been so much fun. It's something that I will continue to do. I do feel like it's growing. The more riders that we get out on the road and inspire to ride, the more bikes we can all buy, and we can just pack our garage full of beautiful dream motorcycles if we all band together and just do it. All right, listen to me, just don't even think about it. Go buy a bunch of motorcycles, and if anybody questions you, just blame it on me. But also, renting a motorcycle will change your life. It's how I met Yammy Noob, it's how I got arguably, it's probably not something you could argue about. It's the coolest job in the world. So yeah, take it. Rent out your dang motorcycle. It will change your life.
Well, howdy partner, how's it going? Now this video's over, but I tell you what, you click on this one right over here, you can keep watching yourself some Yammy Noob. And if y'all didn't know, we're based out of Austin, Texas, so click on that video, you might check out something cool.